Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Grief Drums, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down a couple of recent rounds and some things that you may be able to implement into your game to help you improve. So first up in today's video, I wanted to cover clutching and how you can get more clutches when it comes down to it, if it's a 1v2 or a 1v4. This is something that I feel that a lot of people still don't quite implement effectively. So I wanted to break down a recent round that occurred in which I was spectating someone, and I want to analyze where I think he was going wrong. Now, this particular clip, we didn't know the guy, and as you can see, it's a 1v2 situation. But let's watch the round and then we'll analyze where I think he was going wrong.
One main wall, one server, I think.
Just construction.
Just go and take one engagement at a time.
He knows one's at the main wall.
Sees a laser sight.
Hey, wait.
Mission failed. All friendlies have been neutral.
So as you will have seen, we unfortunately lost the round, and I just want to make it quite clear that, you know, this is not designed to bash the dude at all. He was up against it, and if you speak to Canadian, he had the worst gun in the game. This is more just to analyze where he could have done something slightly different to change the outcome. Now, at the minute, we can see he's hunkering down inside of the bedroom. Now, I purposely didn't give any calls as to where people were because I wasn't 100% sure. So for those of you out there that think, you know, well, I could have assisted him by giving him call-outs, not really. If I'm brutally honest, I'm just watching his screen, so I would be guessing, you know, he's got just as much intel as I have, and I'm going to leave the call-outs to people that actively know what is going on, if they can see it on a camera, or they've just been killed by someone. It's at this moment that JD, who I was playing with, gives the call out that one of them is in construction, and we believe the other one to be at the main wall. That's all the intel we have to go off. Now, instead of actively engaging one of them, he decides to just hunker down and engage neither of them, which gives them the opportunity to slowly figure out where he is, set up a crossfire, and, you know, try and both peek him at the same time and just apply pressure from different angles. It's going to be impossible to deal with that, and he soon finds that that's the case. He's trying to deal with construction, he's not able to look into the gym, and subsequently dies from it. Now, for explanation purposes, I'm going to pull up this blueprint just here, and we're going to break down where they were pushing from and what he could have done to slightly change this up. So as you'll see, he's here hunkering down inside of the bedroom itself, and we've got someone pushing in from this angle, and the Thatcher that we weren't too sure about pushing in from over here. Now, the only intel he's got to go off of is the person in construction. And rather than just wait for one of them to push, I genuinely feel instead of waiting for them both to set up a crossfire, if he'd have gone and pushed one of them, even if it's, you know, putting him into the line of sight of someone else, he can at least attempt to get out of this. Now, in a 1v however many situation, the probability is you are going to lose. I mean, you know, let's face facts here. When the chips are down and it's you versus more than one person, you shouldn't win that. So what can you do to turn the odds in your favor? Well, the obvious answer is you take one-on-one engagements. You actively push one person. If you kill that person, it then turns it from a 1v2 into a 1v1. Now, on the face of it, that sounds extremely simple, and I'll be the first to admit that yes, in theory it is. It really is. But having the knowledge to actually go and do that may seem kind of counterintuitive. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to survive. So it kind of feels weird to say that in order to survive, I have to get aggressive. But there is a time to play passive as a defender when you've got time on your side. And there's a time to play aggressive as a defender. And if you are up against it and your back's against the wall, you're hunkering down, you're just waiting to die. So what I want to do is I want to break down a couple of rounds in which I played recently. And as you'll see here, I'm playing as Ella on Outback. And at the beginning of the round, I'm playing extremely passive. There's no reason for me to actively and aggressively push things. I'm just sort of moving around as I get droned out so that I can't be pre-fired. If anyone comes up those stairs on my left, they can't just come up and shoot that area. Now, at this stage of the round, we are just sort of waiting for people to present themselves as targets. We're waiting for, you know, call-outs from the team. And it's now that we become a 2v3 situation. So instantly, although it's not a 1v whatever, we are up against it. We need to get a pick in order to draw this level, or to at least figure out exactly where they're coming from. And I get the call that Sledge is pushing in through the piano door, so I play reasonably aggressive on it. The logic behind that is just to bring the odds back into our favour, and as you can see, the second that happens, I go from doing that aggressive play to playing passive. Now, it doesn't look massively different, please don't misunderstand me, but we've gone from being at a disadvantage to actually having even odds. So all we have to do now is, as soon as one of us dies, get a refrag. Now, unfortunately, Valkyrie decided to push out way too far in this situation, and there was very little I can do. So it's now me in a 1v2 situation. I've just been droned out, and luckily the Zofia gets tricked by the alibi. So I've got an accurate ping on where that person is, and I know that the other person is over this side of the map, purely down to the fact that the Valkyrie just died over here. So I'm already in a strong position to deal with this, and that's made even stronger by the fact that my team can actively ping her. So I know that I'm getting pinched from both sides, and I need to deal with one of them at a time. I need to isolate each of these attackers and try and take these gunfights in a one-on-one rather than waiting for them to both push me. As it happens, I do get a very good call out that she's jumped out of the window, which allows me to play aggressive and try and push onto her. I get the pick on the Hibana and push back to deal with the Zofia. Now, I know where she's coming from, or at least I have a general idea that she's over that side of the map, and I start just pre-firing general areas. Now, because she knows where I am, I decide to go ahead and jump directly into the room when I see the explosion going off and get kind of lucky. But again, it just sort of reaffirms the fact that I'm dealing with one-on-one situations rather than a 1v2 situation and waiting for them to peek me on their terms. And before you say it, I like the iron sights. There's nothing wrong with them. The final clip from today is going to be much of the same. It's going to sort of showcase taking these one-on-one engagements, and it's going to show just how powerful it can be. Now, please don't misunderstand me. It doesn't always work out. I'm well aware that it doesn't always work out. But when you've got things like Capcan traps there to assist you, you can utilize those to assist you in these one-on-one pushes. I actively engaged with the Thermite and knew where he was, and if he pushes through that door, he's going to trigger that and let me know he's coming through there, so I can deal with it from a different way. Fortunately, he gets blown up by that. I deal with the Jackal, then I deal with the person that's dropped blue, and as you can see, I'm actively engaging and then stop and become passive because there is no need to push that final guy. It becomes the one-on-one. I have a general idea of where he is. I know I've got time on my side, and sitting here in the corner rather than going up against him bags me the win. Now, the hardest thing to do is to figure out when to be aggressive and when to play passive. It's all about controlled aggression. Now, you can go blindly running into rooms and try and take on 3 or 4 people at a time, and you're probably just going to get shut down. And whilst controlling the aggression and knowing when to push and when not to is something that I cannot just teach you, what I can teach you is this. Just because you're playing ranked, don't suddenly become uptight and worried and concerned because you're worried about your elo. That is the worst thing you can do. The most important piece of advice I can give for you to clutch situations is to go out and try stuff. Become confident in your gameplay, become confident in your ability. Even if you are only a mediocre player and you don't think you've got the best shot in the world, start working on that. Start trying to figure out a way to build your own confidence, because if you go into a gunfight with confidence, I will guarantee you now you will win a lot more of them. If you start flapping and thinking, there is no way I'm going to win this, it's a 1v3, I don't stand a chance, guess what? You probably don't. You really don't. But if you flip that mindset around and say, you know what? I probably don't stand a chance, but, you know, let's give it my best shot anyway. Let's just go and take one-on-ones. Let's see what happens. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. Have fun. It's a game. Try different things. Try different operators. Try different play styles. Maining operators is one thing. There is nothing wrong with learning the recoil and mastering a specific operator, but don't let that be your only play style. I'm afraid that's going to be it for today's video. I've actually waffled on a lot more than I expected to about this. I kind of thought I was going to talk about 2 separate topics during this video, but I've gone on for that long that I think it'll be better to put the second topic in a different video. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gives you something to think about and you can go away and sort of start breaking down your own play style and what it is you're doing, whether you are being too passive in the wrong situations or whether you're being too aggressive, you know? I'd love to hear your thoughts though. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe for all things Rainbow Six. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay reckless and relentless.